weeks. Today in the backstory, 8 years ago today, Eric Moore created an ode to Seattle through a popular Instagram account. You might have seen it. It's called Seattle Then.
Very cool photo. So Moore brings historic pictures in and around the Seattle area to life by colorizing and restoring them. The before and after images are as remarkable as they are nostalgic. Kelly Koopmans spoke with Moore about why he describes his love for historic images as an obsession.
Eric, thank you so much for joining us. I've been a follower of your Instagram account for a while because I think it's fascinating to look at time and how things change. I kind of think of it as a love letter to the history of Seattle and really greater Western Washington as a whole. What do you think of your account? How would you describe it?
I could say it's a love letter. It's where my heart is. It's an obsession, and along with you know, being obsessed with time and the past and history in general, these pictures are products of my interest in kind of finding that holy smokes moment where you see a picture and you go, wow, that was there. And so I do what I can, and I have over the years. This is going on 8 years here, where I can wake up the picture and kind of try to get that same reaction from folks who look at the page.
And it sounds like you're doing some pretty good research to figure out exactly where this is, and the angle that you always have them lined up seems so dead on. It's amazing. How did you decide to take this obsession, as you describe it, with time that you've had since you were a kid to all of a sudden decide, you know, I'm going to make a page dedicated to this? I
think it evolved organically. I mean, I was always you know, interested in these books, the Then and Now book from Paul Dorpat and that series. Once I realized I could make another account on top of my own private account, and I was already doing these things, let's give it a shot and throw something out there and see what happens. And it worked. You know, people started checking it out, and it motivated me to keep going. And also, I've always been so deeply involved in going down the wormhole with HistoryLink, the websites that you know, outside of Facebook, the archives, things like that. So
very cool. Yeah. Maybe you could describe to people what it is when they go to your page, what they will see. What do you do? So I'll be spontaneous. There'll be an instance where I hear a song from the 70s. I'm a 70s kid. And it'll evoke a feeling, and it'll remind me of what Seattle looked like at a certain time. And so I can go to the archives and look up that year and find an image that matches what's in my head, and then line it up with a current photo of that photo that I find, and do maybe a reveal or something, and then add that song that I heard on top of it, and it seems to work. And you're doing the color and the sky, and you're kind of adjusting these pictures to bring them to life.
Yes, yes. I use my phone and my finger, and I use free apps, and over a period of years, I've found out how to get the right hue, and I mean, I'm not perfect at it, but I mean, some really click and look good. You know, some are hits, some are misses, but I enjoy the whole process. So.
Maybe you could tell me about some of your favorites as we take a look at them.
Sure. This one on 2nd and Spring was a great high-definition detailed picture of linemen from the 1910s. And if you look at old pictures of Seattle, you see these huge telephone poles everywhere with wires everywhere. And these are some of the guys who did that work. It was so well defined, I wanted to colorize it. So I spent a very long time colorizing it, and I recognized the rock wall behind it, but I couldn't really place it. And so I did research on the picture in front of it and the picture behind it. You know, all these pictures are itemized, and they have small descriptions. So I tried to research and find out where it was. After a couple months, it just clicked, and I remembered exactly where it was. I spent a lot of time working downtown over the years and through the 90s, and I realized that it was on 2nd and Spring, or just down the hill from 2nd and Spring.
Such a cool
So I reposted it, and with the overlay over the actual spot. So.
And then even here at KOMO Plaza, you have a couple that kind of show how things have changed here in our neck of the woods. Yeah,
most recently, I posted a couple of from the 60s, around the time we were preparing for the World's Fair, and you can see where the monorail pillars are being built, and the contrast with how this building has kind of eclipsed the monorail over there. Yeah.
What would you like people to take away when they look at your work?
I like the, you know, it doesn't have to be anything deep, just the, oh, wow, or they find something that maybe they didn't realize. A lot of people are new to Seattle, so they didn't realize the history that Seattle has. You know, Seattle has a huge history with a lot of things that are gone that people will never know about, like the Stoneway Bridge, or the exploits of Harry Tracy, or you know, the bootlegging that took place back in the day. Just know the history and appreciate where they are. I think that's a big motivator for me.
Well, you're helping connect people to that in a very tangible way. So thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Isn't that fascinating?
Just fascinating. I want to look at more photos. I need to scroll through his Instagram page.
I literally just gave him a follow just now, at Seattle Then, if you want to check some of that out. And I love how Kelly reached out to him just to have him on the show, just to say, you know, what's the backstory behind this? How do you do this and find these old pictures and compare them to what we have today? And what's fascinating to see is how much certain areas have changed so much over the years.
Before and after is fascinating, especially when you look at the freeways and even the style of clothing, all of it. I mean, I think you have to have an eye for this kind of stuff. Obviously, a good tap on history, but also creativity.
Creativity,
Spending
for sure.
hours to add color to a photo is incredible.
I love seeing how KOMO Plaza has changed too over the years.
A lot.
Crazy.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly, for that.